What would be a better way to spend one's Saturday night except listening to heavy metal and drink some beer? That's what I'm doing here right now. Obviously, this video is out not on Saturday but on some boring weekday. Not boring to be, in fact. The end of the month in April is always a good celebration for Finnish people anyway, because it's the Walpurgisnacht thing. Well, sorry for this kind of a lengthy introduction, but this month's kind of a classic review needs some special attention, and being it's Saturday night, I need some drink as well. So welcome to Rauta's classic review time, this time with beer included. Why I chose to go with Mötley Crüe would be a question. Some say it's more hard rock than metal music, but the obvious answer of course is that the Dirt movie was just gotten out like a few weeks prior to this one, so I was a little bit late maybe when picking up the album of the month, but hey, who cares? It's not about some few weeks here and there that these things go. So I wanted to present to you one of my old kind of a long time favorites, a band that actually started me going when I was a kid, that is 1980s. So I wanted to go with an album that came out so long time ago, 1983, which still has a big impact in me, being a really great album. That is obviously the second album by yours truly, well, not me truly, I'm just kidding around, Mötley Crüe from California. So let's start talking about what makes this album so wonderful. And meanwhile, I'm enjoying Fat Lizard's Haze Oddity IPA. I don't think I ever had this one before, but let's just see how it goes down my throat. So cheers to you all for sticking around. So Mötley Crüe, I don't know when I got this CD, but as you can see, this is not original version, quite far from that exactly. There was a point, this needs to be included in this review, which makes this even lengthier, that I kind of lost my interest to my childhood favorites, that is those bands that kind of started me going metal and all. That included bands like Wasp and, well, Mötley Crüe, Skid Row, and you name it. But later on I started to figure out that these gems are not gems for no reason. They are classic albums because they kind of never went, away. They never stopped being great albums, even though I had gone to black metal, death metal, all that stuff. So I wanted to kind of pay where the credits due, so to speak. And I noticed at some point myself listening to old heavy metal and hard rock once again, and man, when I refound, so to speak, this album some many years ago, I was like kind of blown away, like how could I even forget such an album? So it's not like I'm saying that I've been listening to this album more than 30 years by now. No, I have not. That would be bullshitting all of you out there. I found it and I lost it and I found it again. That's the story here. So here we have Shout at the Devil. This is my version, which is some 2000 whatever thing, I guess. But nevertheless, it has some originality in the ways of how these guys look like, how is the cover and all that stuff. So as you can see, this is one of those so-called hair metal bands, glam metal bands and whatnot. Different names for this particular genre, this particular band as well. So there was this debate whether or not these kind of bands would be actual metal or are they more like glam rock and whatever. I still to this day get to read interviews where old thrash metal bands and death metal kind of originators might be saying that there was these poser guys who were not really into metal because we were creating thrash metal and death metal and all that stuff, and there were these glam bands, and obviously pointing to bands such as Mötley Crüe, but not only that, but the scene in total. Well, technically speaking, we could go though in being hair metal band because they had these big hairdos and whatnot. And music-wise, it's kind of hard to define where hard rock actually ends and where it transforms into heavy metal. Be it about Wasp, Mötley Crüe, Skid Row, Rat, whatever. These are bands that are sometimes hard to just box into, one place. Whatever you want to label it doesn't really matter. What counts, in my opinion, is that how the music is. And Mötley Crüe is one of its finest, to be honest. My hard rock favorite, if I had to call it rather hard rock than, well, heavy metal. So I don't care too much about how you want to label it, how you want to, which genre you want to go for it. To me, it matters. This album is a killer. So as you can see, these guys were defining the whole genre with their look, with their music, with their, fooling around. If you have not yet seen the Dirt movie or have not read the book, I totally recommend both. The book being obviously better, but the movie is very, very enjoyable. Definitely worth watching. So this is kind of how the newer version looks like. Still very true to its origins, having lyrics and all those old school photos. But the main ingredients, of course, are the music, the songs, the tracks that make this album such a classic. Now, I guess would be kind of worthwhile to just, take another look on this background, even though I just, put it in a way. So, I don't know if you can actually see these very well, but what we have here is some great tunes. This is not Zoom, it's not working the way I want it to be. Don't care so much about the bonus tracks here, they don't matter. What matters is that after this rather meaningless introduction called In the Beginning, we have one of the better tracks of all time, one of the best tracks by Mötley Crüe, which is the title tracks, Shout at the Devil. Now it's followed by Looks That Kill, which is once again one of those killer tracks. And then we have songs like, which I should bring, maybe Too Young to Fall in Love and Nuck 'Em Dead Kid. There are great tunes as well, but these would be my favorites. The ones that I would go for random picking if I was going for single tracks here and there, or make a compilation track, like kind of my personal best of. So why are these songs so goddamn good? Well, in my opinion, not only they are simple enough to be very easy to just listen to and enjoy them. It's not like they're the most technically or tightly played, but they deliver the impact, the kind of passion, the energy of the youth, the feeling how it must have been growing out around California, drinking booze, probably having already some drugs, enjoying some level of success, having groupies, and of course the Californian, you know, environment, the atmosphere, the people, it's so different, coming from Finland where, half of the year is just dark and boring and there's winter. And obviously that's kind of creates different kind of environment for music. But people from, being from, a place where there's, gorgeous beach, there's lots of people, wearing bikini and swimwear and all that stuff. And it's known for its all the time parties. There's movie industry, strong music scene for various genres and all that stuff. Obviously, it's different. So whenever we're trying to understand certain kind of music, and this probably needs a totally different opinion video, but I'm trying to make a point here is that we need to understand from which kind of places these bands are coming. Mötley Crüe comes or started to, making their music from a city that is known as a kind of a creativity cradle or something. So, I mean, it's no wonder that so many great bands, which were not the darkest bands necessarily, but, making these wonderfully great riffs, which this album is full of, I think. And that having, these great vocals by Vince Neil, kind of I don't know, lyrics which are at the same time nice, they're cool, metaphors here and there, like Looks at Kill, for example, that has some nice lines. But it's all those elements that are put together in such a great way that makes this album bigger than, just a single track here or there. I mean, it's not perfect album. Obviously, there are weaker tracks, which I'm not too much fan of, but I mean, they are not weak tracks as such. They are like the level of which many bands can just only dream of. So to me, Shout at the Devil is still very, very strong album. It delivers kind of a good mood, the kind of a energy, the kind of a vibe that I'm, kind of want to start, banging my head or fist to. So it's kind of at the same time, it's energetic and a good mood album, and it still has this kind of a not sinister mood maybe, but this kind of a feeling of being something dangerous, or at least not approved by the mass, who just wants Jesus in their life or normal average Joe values and whatnot. Now, this is not about those values. This is not a video like you should do that or don't do that, blah blah blah. But my point is, it has this genuine rock and roll feeling, kind of a rebellion, which makes this album so wonderful. That and the production, the vocals, the lyrics, the riffs, just killer material. So if you're too young, that you have missed this album when it came out, or missed it because you don't feel like it belongs here in your, I don't know, bubble, I think you should just challenge yourself and give this one a chance. After all, this is not Bon Jovi album, even though he has some great tunes as well. But the point here is, this is way more metal than most kind of a hair rock, glam rock bands everywhere or were gonna be. In my opinion, Mötley Crüe is one of the best bands to ever come from California. And even though not all their albums are great, some few are. And Shout at the Devil just might be their best album. I mean, it's a great album. I really, really like it all over again. And this Dirt movie just gave me this kind of a inspiration to worship this album even more. So, have yourself beer or a few, listen to some old school Mötley Crüe and enjoy. Thank you for watching, and see you soon with more Rauta reviews coming your way.